KYG Y2K. Today we are discussing Beavis and Butthead. My co-host, as always, not always, just recently, Joe Gariffo. Before we get into Beavis and Butthead, Joe, why don't you tell the audience what you've been regaling me with this whole time?
Okay, so I found an old notebook from when I was a kid. It's probably from 1999, I want to say, that has old Beavis and Butthead codes in it from the video game. But I was just telling Jesse, there's a lot of other stuff in here, like old drawings. Like here's one of Ash from Evil Dead.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go full screen. Or can I not? Whatever.
Well, anyway, you can see it. Well, you can see it. I don't know. Just like a lot of that stuff. Here's a whole page with just like I wrote quotes from Giant Silent Bob on this whole page. You can see Chronic in the top there. But it says like, go back to your paper route, you mighty duck fucks, schnoogans. The whole fucking world's against us, dude. I swear to God. I feel like Han Solo, you're Chewie, she's Ben Kenobi. We're in that fucked up bar. What about sex? Snoochie boochies, Brody Noochies. Come on, Silent Bob, we're going to Hollywood. These are just like all, literally this whole page is just J quotes.
So literally, this is what you were writing down when you were supposed to be learning math, more or less.
Probably, because there's one page of math in here. One. The rest is all.
Yeah. It's 90% Jay and Silent Bob quotes, and then 25% math. And the reason that's more than 100% is because you didn't learn math.
Yeah, there's a band nobody knows about called Redchester. I was like the very first person to ever order their CD offline. I'm still friends with Dan. Dan, if you ever listen to this, shout out to Redchester.
Shout out Redchester. Were they from Westchester, PA?
They were from Stamford, Connecticut. I don't know. Ooh. I really don't know what the significance of the name was. But
weird. I thought maybe there were other competition for the king of Westchester. It wasn't just Bam Margera for a little bit there. Well, anyway, we are discussing. I not hear the fucking music playing. Well, whatever. Rest assured there is music playing, and it is the Beavis and Butthead theme song. Yeah. So we're going to discuss Beavis and Butthead today. Obviously, they're not really in the news, but they had a big comeback movie, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. So we're going to discuss in reverse order. We're going to discuss Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, the weird 2011 comeback, Beavis and Butthead Do America, the video games, and the shit that started it all, Beavis and Butthead. We tried recording this episode earlier this week, and it was so bad, my computer committed suicide. So it was 30 minutes that will just never, ever, ever be seen. Joe, how big a fan of Beavis and Butthead were you back in the day?
Huge. I was more a fan of the movie specifically. I love the show, but it eluded me because I never knew exactly when it was on. When it was on, I was watching it, but I never knew exactly when it came on. The movie Do America, I saw. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie so much.
Mm-hmm. Let's say right here. So just the basics. 8 seasons, 222 episodes. Premiered March 8th, 1993. So as we discussed, this show would have debuted when we were 6 years old. And given it ran 8 seasons, actually, you know what? Let me see. When did the final Beavis and Butthead air? I'm very curious. Don't give me that fucking 2011 bullshit. You know what I meant. Point is, we were watching this at a the original series finale aired on, it's crazy in this day and age where even like the most C tier Seth MacFarlane show still runs for like 25 fucking years. Beavis and Butthead, one of the biggest cultural touchstones in all of mature animation, only ran from 1992 to 1997.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now because I posted a TikTok not too long ago of a news broadcast about the final Beavis and Butthead episode. I'm just trying to find it. Because I remember that being a big deal, like the end of the show being a big deal.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, it's like, well, I thought it ran for 8 seasons. MTV was pretty much the forerunner of Adult Swim of having like very odd production schedules. Like actually quite the opposite. Whereas Adult Swim will go like multiple years between seasons. MTV has always been known for having like 1, 2, 3 seasons all within a single calendar year. Like I remember you remember we got the DVD of The State when that came out. That ran for 4 seasons on MTV, and yet it really only ran from 93 to 95 because they just do like 6-month production cycles.
Didn't that also have like the DVD has different music, right?
Oh yeah. Well, unfortunately, that was a thing. This has bit MTV in the ass so many times. Is that MTV? They never had big budgets for their programming, so they always added a lot of glitz and glamour to their shit by like, well, we have, the temporary rights to all this popular music. Because if you recall, even like shows like Undergrads would just have like random songs playing in the background from popular bands. I just watched Clone High, also just popular rock at the time. Unfortunately, when it then comes time to home release this shit, they can't release any of the music that MTV insisted be in there because they could use it for free before. So that's why if you watch The State, all the music is different, replaced with either sound-alikes or just complete like public domain type shit. And that's why it's taken Beavis and Butthead so long to get released with the music videos, to the extent that like when they did the big DVD releases, the music videos were just not on there. They would have like 5 as a bonus feature.
Yeah, Daria, same thing. That DVD set, all different music. What was that other show? Oh, there's so many, but it was one Mission Hill. Oh,
I thought that aired on WB.
Was that WB?
The only reason I remember Mission Hill, you remember at the beginning of the school year how some TV shows would get in on the promotions department and give out free book covers, and it would have like, here's a free book cover for social studies and Beavis and Butthead codes, by the way, and the entire thing would be like Mission Hill. That's the only reason I remember the show.
Yeah, I can't find this news report. I really wanted to play it because it was all about how I wish I had it in some kind of
let me know if you find it. I'll put it at the very beginning of the episode if we can find it.
I'll find it after we record this, hopefully.
Okay. Debuts on Liquid Television. We discussed before, one of the early things where they would just throw together, again, MTV and their cheap ass production, like, hey, send us all your cool stuff, we'll put it on the air, we won't give you any money for it, but we'll make money from it.
Yeah, I remember Liquid Television, but not from like when it was on TV, just from going to like conventions in the.
It was always for sale at like every Monster Mania or what have you.
Well, that's literally how I found out about it, and then I was like, oh, I didn't really know Beavis and Butthead premiered on it. Once again, I'm going back 20 years. This is like around the year 2002, 2003 when I found out about that stuff. So like, I have since seen it, just not as a child.
Right. So they make their debut on Liquid Television with their thrilling 2-minute short.
Frog baseball! Get him!
I can't hear a fucking thing, so I'm just going to be going through. Yeah, so controversial right away. Brought this up in the last episode. Something in the 90s, man, we really had it out for fucking frogs. Frog baseball. There was that Flash animation game, Frogs in a Blender. They had to legally ban something called smush videos, which was just like hot chicks stomping on animals. Because
and then I told you I'd never heard of that before, and that was every time I hear of something horrible like that I've never heard of before, it's from you.
Yeah. I am very much a digger in extremes and terrible things. It's like, oh yeah, did you hear about this new thing, Book and Flush? Like, oh, Book and Flush, what's that? Because you're Joey, you're all excited. You learn, oh, maybe Book and Flush will be my new favorite thing. It's like, yeah, it's when a guy gets their penis vivisected and pours salt on it. Here's several videos you will not want to see any of.
Yeah, now I can't. Now they're just permanently embedded in my brain. I can't not see them anymore.
Kids, please go on TikTok and do the Book and Flush challenge. You don't need that penis. Anyway, So, despite the notion that the show was mostly for young men, turns out the biggest demographic of fans was 12 to 14-year-old girls, many of whom had crushes on Beavis, as they found out when they would get fan letters. If we're talking the characters in the show, well, actually, no, aren't there. So yeah, in the lead up to making the show, they were running focus groups where, you know, they bring in a bunch of kids and they make them watch the show, get their opinions on it. And then, you know, they decide how much they want to invest if they want to go to series. Not only did children go apeshit for it, adults absolutely hated it, saying they would be angry if it aired. But one of the kids asked the focus group runner if he could buy a copy of the VHS to show their friends, which is huge. So the original series itself, set in Texas, we have the characters of Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead are just two metalhead idiots, which I had never found as a metalhead. I always thought that wasn't unfair. And then I went to high school and I met a lot of Beavises and Buttheads, and boy, are they dumb. And is the stereotype appropriate? We get Van Driesen, their hippie teacher who believes in them, Coach Buzzcut.
Hey, boy, I can't do it with you. Go ahead. I was just trying to do a terrible impression.
No. Do it again, Joseph. I think if you really try again, you can.
I think if I really tried, I could try and pull it off, but I'm not really sure.
Sure, you can find, you know, there's no reason to be so aggressive, guys. Okay. Oh, you know, he does say okay. He might be. Yeah, he's a predecessor to Mr. Mackey.
Definitely is. Whether that was intentional, I don't think that was intentional because Mr. Mackey's based off of their actual guidance counselor.
Yeah.
He did talk like that, but it is. He did say okay.
Coach Buzzcut, the hardcore gym coach, who's a Vietnam vet, drill sergeant. Principal McVickers, a guy who just looks like he's going to keel over and die at any minute, mostly from stress related to Beavis and Butthead. Todd, the cool guy who does not give Beavis and Butthead any time whatsoever. Stort, their little Dorcas winger-loving friend. Daria, the cool, smart girl who would go on to have her own show. And Mr. Anderson, who was pretty much Hank Hill in an early form. So Stort, as we know, Beavis and Butthead wear T-shirts saying AC/DC and Metallica, which is hilarious because if you went down to the shore in the early 90s, all the toys you could win on the boardwalk were Beavis and Butthead, but on all the merch, because obviously you can't sell it with AC/DC and Metallica on it, they would always have some stand-in alternate text on the shirt.
Death.
Nope, not just death. Come on, Joey, you can do it. Can you remember this? I know exactly what they are.
Skull something and
Skull.
Was that the name? Just Skull?
One was just Skull.
And the other was Death Rock or
Death Rock. Joseph.
Was that right? Was I right?
You're right. Yep.
Oh, nice. I didn't even look that up. Look at that.
You know what's funny? I remember they had some like books as well that I really liked. One was like Beavis and Butthead do the movies.
Beavis had the Death Rock, right? And
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, I remember they even had like books back at the time where they had the Skull and Death Rock. But there's like an entire book called like Beavis and Butthead Do the Movies, where it's just like little illustrated parodies of movies and like posters and shit. It was really cool. They were all over the place. I've always said if your shit is being sold on everything at the Wildwood Boardwalk, you are huge right now.
Yeah. Is Rick and Morty all over everything on the Wildwood?
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't been down in a few years, so I don't remember.
It was funny. I actually had a joke many years ago in my comedy career where I said the same thing, like, oh yeah, whatever's big on the Jersey Boardwalk is going to be really big in like 6 months. That's where I first saw Razor scooters. And apparently in a few months, there's going to be a big thing with Disney princesses with jailhouse tattoos. Digimon are coming back. And you know what else is coming back? Because I heard it all over the Wildwood Boardwalk. White children calling each other the N-word.
Oh, God.
And you know what? Damn straight, it's as popular as... Dude, little side note, I find that so funny.
Damn straight. What is that?
I find it so funny that now in this, I remember a few years ago in like this wokest of times, and yet my little brother, who is like 10 years younger than me, and him and his friends just like, they don't care about any of that shit. They don't even think about it. They're just calling each other the N-word. Teenagers everywhere are just ignoring all the fucking woke rules that we pretend we have right now. And then like somewhere in their mid-20s, they're like, they feel really, really bad about it. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, I think that happened to a lot of us because we were raised on South Park and things like that, and
Yeah. Well, not
we
only
not necessarily that we were trying to be mean, it was just trying to be shocking, but then you realize you're being mean, and then you're like, oh, I feel like an asshole.
But yeah, like, do you think little kids watching South Park really could understand the complexities of why it was hilarious that Cartman hated Jews? Like, no, they were just Jewish kids that got made fun of because the fat kid on TV did it. That's why.
But that's also why they're not supposed to watch it.
Exactly. But this is also, this kind of tainted a lot of Chappelle's Show for me, because whenever I hear somebody be like, oh, Chappelle's Show was so legendary and, this and that, like, hey, I think you're remembering it with rose-colored glasses. It was an incredible show, but really the main thing was like, oh, me and my middle school friends all saying the N-word because we didn't know any different. It was just a show we liked.
Right. And then you look back on that, you're like, oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
I had a question I was going to ask you. What were your favorite degenerate? Yeah, well, all right. We're talking about that, like little kids watching it. What was the main shows you watched, like when you were young, that you were like not allowed to watch, or you knew were like bad?
I guess South Park's like the first one, because I was always allowed. My parents never let me not watch something, really. It was like, because I could watch The Simpsons. I could watch,
dude, kids who could not watch The Simpsons were always baffling to me. My friend Jeff Roser, his father was a pastor, and they specifically were not allowed to watch Simpsons because it taught kids to disrespect authority.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. But because I didn't, and I watched that incessantly. Like, I love The Simpsons. Basically, I would watch horror movies. Like, I would watch Nightmare on Elm Street, like Halloween. My dad had them taped off TV and stuff, so I would watch the tapes he had laying around. So it wasn't like, and I vividly remember the first time I ever watched Return of the Living Dead. My dad walked in right when Liana Quigley's dancing naked on the grave, and my dad's like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "It's a zombie movie." He's like, "Why do I see a naked ass?" And I was like,
"Because it's a zombie movie, Dad."
And then he just left. That was literally, it wasn't. I didn't get in trouble, but it was when South Park came out. That was around when it was like, I don't know if you should be watching this.
Yeah,
probably shouldn't have been. They definitely didn't take me to see that. They never took me to see the movie in theaters, but they bought me the soundtrack. So I don't know.
So, Joey, let me get your thoughts on this. Tell me if this is universal when it comes to nudity in movies. Always felt moms were way worse. Moms were way more upset. Dads were way more like, hey, you shouldn't be watching that. But tell you what, if I were 20 years younger, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, it was. See, my parents took me to Europe a lot when I was a kid.
Oh, and so all sorts of degeneracy.
They're just degeneracy. But what I mean is, like, they just have topless women in commercials in the middle of the day, and I'm not joking, like on regular TV. Now, this was 20 something years ago. I don't know if that's how it still is, but that's how it was. And they're topless beaches and everything. So, like, nudity wasn't, I mean, as a kid, I was like, oh my God, boobs, but like boobs in movies, I would just feel weird with my parents there. A sex scene would be really weird. I can't remember, with the exception of American Pie.
Yeah.
Oh, there's something about Mary.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Scene, that was awkward.
There's a night and day difference between your parents wandering in on you watching a movie and watching a movie together.
Right, because I watched There's Something About Mary with my parents. I watched American Pie with my parents, which I don't know why I did that. We didn't get very long into. Oh, another thing, my parents. They rented The Toxic Avenger for me, I guess thinking it was like the cartoon.
Yeah.
And we got to the scene where the little kid gets hit by the car and his head gets crushed. And then my dad, that is where my dad drew the line and shut the movie off. That was the one time my dad was like, nope, we're not watching this.
Oh God. See, I remember it's funny that my dad was like the way more irresponsible parent, was like taking me to parties and shit where there was blow and whatnot. But when he found out, I said something about the movie Hellraiser. He said like, oh yeah, I didn't understand. There was a part where there was like they were looking at pictures of a guy and it looked like he was riding a woman like a dog. And he was pissed off at first. Well, no, he was just pissed off. Like, I don't know why your mother's letting you watch that shit. And then you go back and watch that. You would assume that sounds like, oh, doggy style sex. But then you watch Hellraiser, like, oh no, he's literally riding her like a dog. It's a S&M thing.
Yeah,
It's just, you know what it is? I felt like dads were more okay with nudity because they just didn't want to get in the discussion, where I felt like moms like kind of wanted to make sure you understood this. I can't imagine your mom being like that though.
no, like I said, like they wouldn't take me to see South Park in the theater, but they bought me the soundtrack, and then I was allowed to buy the movie and things like that when it was available. But
yeah, Dad wouldn't let me watch it. He said there was too much sex stuff in it. Again, classic Catholic. All the violence in the world is fine, but if there's
sex.
Yeah, but if Saddam Hussein is getting gay dildoed by the devil, well, so we got to draw a line there. Fucking parents. Parents don't understand.
They just don't understand, Jess.
Nah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any big moments stand out for you from the original run of the series? I mean, I have little ones like, the thing I was going to mention, yeah, Stuart. Beavis and Butthead are wearing AC/DC and Metallica. Stuart's a little dork, so he's wearing a winger.
Yeah.
He's only 17. Apparently Winger was doing pretty well and getting more and more popular until that character debuted.
Oh God, I found it. Hold on. Ready?
All right.
People see this noon, Beavis and Butthead have been fired. Cartoonist Mike Judge says he has had enough. The two animated nitwits appear in a final episode tomorrow night entitled Beavis and Butthead Are Dead. It'll be the end of a 4.5-year run on MTV. The show sparked criticism when some young viewers reportedly mimicked the duo's antics, even setting fires. Well, on Thanksgiving Day,
There we go.
All right, you know what? Maybe this is the time to discuss the controversy. So, yeah, there were a few things that happened with this. I don't know how much this has happened with you, but as a fan of professional wrestling, I am very used to the media. Like, every time a little kid, like a fucked up kid, murders their cousin or whatever, they'll always say, like, they were copying wrestling moves. And that's why, you know, The Undertaker should go to jail for this. And then you find out that like these wrestling moves were like, oh yeah, no, he beat a 2-year-old with a bat for an hour and a half. But yeah, this one definitely had. Ooh, can you think of anything bad you ever copied off of a movie or TV?
Went streaking because of Blink-182's What's My Age Again video. That's probably the worst thing I've done in terms of like copying anything that I've seen on TV.
Where did you go streaking?
Just in my neighborhood. So like it wasn't like it was
Joey,
weird.
Joey grew up in a city, so it's not exactly like, oh yeah. For those of you who don't know, it's not exactly like.
No, the funniest thing is I convinced like a bunch of my friends to do it with me, so it wasn't just me. Like it was a
Wow.
Then my dad caught us climbing back in the basement window. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh God.
That was the extent of like, we should run around naked. That'd be funny. Like, I mean, I could just imagine doing that now. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, you'd be a sex offender. You'd have to, they'd have
Exactly.
to put your name on a list.
I was like 13 or 14 when that happened. So like, even then it was weird. It's like thinking back now, like, oh my God, that's bizarre. Yeah. Anyway.
You move. You have to be that guy knocking on the neighbor's door, like, hey, I need to let you know by law that I am a legally registered Blink-182 fanboy, and nobody likes you when you're 23, nor do they like it when your 13-year-old penis is bopping around the streets of Philadelphia. So yeah, two big ones. A 5-year-old kid named Austin Messner burned his family's trailer park down, killing his 2-year-old sister. His mother claimed that he learned from Beavis and Butthead, with Beavis particularly saying, fire, fire. Not only did an adult Austin Messner claim his mother called the news before calling 911, but neighbors pointed out that the trailer did not have cable, and thus he could not have watched it. Another one, a young boy threw a bowling ball off of a bridge. Yo, That was a low-key fucked up one. The Good Son. You remember with Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin, and they throw like the fake body thing off the bridge and cause a big car crash.
Yeah.
I know a few people who did shit like that.
Yeah, that's so did I tell you about I used to go sledding right off the bridge here. So like like the Walt Whitman Bridge leads to like a highway and you could go sledding down the side of it.
Just give us your home address, Joe.
Yeah, that's where this was also when I was like in 8th grade. So we're sledding with my friends, and then this other group of kids show up who we do know, but we're not with them. They're like down the other end, and they're throwing shit onto the highway, and it hits one of the cars. And the guy stops the car on the highway, like backs up, gets out of the car, and he's like, "Which one of you cracked my windshield?" Then he looks right at me and goes, "Was it you?" And he walked over, punches me in the face, and I just fell down. Just roll down the hill. And then the kids are throwing it.
Joey laid there like a slug. It was his only defense.
Well, at that point, I was at the bottom of the hill, and there was like a bunch of kids at the top of the hill. And the kids that were throwing it were like, "Hey, it was us. It was us." And that motherfucker didn't punch him. I was the only one that got hit in that situation. I don't know. Like, I guess I could have filed charges or something looking back on it. Because I was a child. This was a grown ass man that got out of his car, punched me in the face, and I had nothing to do with anything that was going on.
Poor baby Joey. There's also a famous moment that happens where the show is being talked about in Congress because people are mad about this. We got to do something about this. And the senator or representative that was talking about them dismissed them as like, these kids watching this garbage. I don't know what it is, buff coat and beaver, which they then inserted into the show by having Mr. Anderson call them buff coat and beaver. So the original run was great. We got cornholio, we got couch fishing. The final episode mentioned in that Beavis and Butthead are dead, where the entire school believes that they've died in like a car accident or something, and they have a memorial. The teachers are very happy. Principal McVicker actually like chills out finally. And then at the end, Beavis and Butthead show up and everybody freaks out, and McVicker falls over with a heart attack, presumably dead. And that's just the end of the episode. Can you think of any other great they get sent back to kindergarten, where Beavis has the great line of, "Beavis, these chicks are flat." And
the episode, the driving, where they driver's ed episode, where they have to watch the video of everybody dying in car accidents. The one where Beavis cuts his finger off.
Yes, we talked the 2 blood episodes where he cuts his finger off and when he gets the nosebleed are both incredible.
And then what's it called? The nosebleed. Where they're trying to grow plants and they're feeding them hamburgers. Mario's like, you have to feed them, and then there's a lot. There's just, it's weird because their episodes are technically like 5 minutes long.
Oh yeah, no, they were very short. And they had the music videos, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the Christmas and Halloween episode still hold. I watch both of them.
I watch them every year too. They're great.
Yeah, the Christmas one in particular parodies a Christmas Story, and wait, is it a Christmas Story? A Christmas Carol? Fuck, it's Ebenezer Scrooge, and then the other one is It's a Wonderful Life,
right,
where Clarence shows Butthead what life would be like had he never been born, and it turns out everybody's doing great. Basically, the plot of Donnie Darko.
Yeah. Then the Halloween one where he just steals the candy from the kid dressed as a Power Ranger.
Yep.
Or in the Thanksgiving where they hosted it with Kurt Loder. The Thanksgiving Day parade.
You know something funny? When I first saw Dawn of the Dead, I could have sworn Flyboy was Kurt Loder.
The Zack Snyder one?
No, the original one. The helicopter pilot. There's only 4 characters in that movie.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah.
He looks a lot like Kurt Loder. As a matter of fact, I think
I was like Kurt Loder, but then I'm getting Kurt Loder's very old. That's why I was like, wait, which one are you talking about? Because
right,
he's
1978.
I was not in either of those. And I don't think he looks like that guy at all. But okay.
I think he does. But it was enough that I actually tweeted Kurt Loder in the last year that like I thought you were the dude in Dawn of the Dead, and he said, "No, it wasn't me." Although I actually had a small part in Day of the Dead that got cut, which is probably just fucking with me. I don't know, but
that'd be. I mean, you never know. It might, maybe.
Yeah. Beavis and Butthead are chronic masturbators, which that's where it got a little weird because I was really young and I did not understand Spank the Monkey and Choking the Chicken. Spank the Monkey doesn't even really make sense within like the realm of what's happening physically. I mean, I've seen a lot of people. Let me rephrase that. I've heard of people masturbating oddly, but I've never like a spanking, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't understand that one.
Choking the chicken makes sense.
Yeah, or like flogging the dolphin, I guess. Even that one's weird too, because you're still hitting.
Yeah. Bleeding the lizard, which just sounds like you've been doing it too hard.
Ow. I've never heard that.
Wait, I think somebody said that with peeing. I don't know. It was the 80s and 90s. It was a great time for media to.
The lizard is peeing.
What?
Draining the lizard.
I've heard bleeding the lizard.
I've never heard that. But I mean, very sheltered. We might not know things.
Yeah. So obviously MTV was, they were also known for watching music videos, which was designed again. I don't know how MTV was such a cultural juggernaut and they just had zero fucking budget for anything, to the extent that like the whole reason they watched music videos was just they wanted to like fill content, and obviously they could reuse the animation over and over and over again. I watched some great ones. Aerosmith, Love in an Elevator, that they commented, these guys are cool for 60. The other guy's 69. And now they're actually all older than their 60s, which is great. We're actually going to watch the entirety of this one music video because it's so short and so fun. And I can't even hear it. Have you ever seen the one for Pantera, This Love?
Probably.
So
at this point, I can't remember.
So yeah, the fun thing in this is he keeps referring to lead singer Phil Anselmo as just Pantera, as if his name is Pantera.
But what's going on here?
Don't worry about it. It starts rocking.
I've actually heard other people say that I've heard Big J Ogerson on the Bonfire talking about a girl he knew being like, went to a Pantera concert. She's like, yeah, he totally sucked Pantera's dick. Like, you do the singer Phil Anselmo. Like, yeah, Pantera, I blew it.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, does this Pantera guy ever relax?
I don't think so. This guy's dad must have kicked his ass when he was a kid.
Yeah, really. He was like, damn it, Pantera, this beer is warm. Get me another one.
Yeah. He was like, you treat your stepmother with respect,
what?
Pantera.
Oh, that, no, I can't. See, you're actually clipping out a little bit, and that's exactly what's happening. Is
damn it,
playing
Pantera,
the
I
music
told you to
to
get up there and mow
That's
that
why when you're
lawn.
talking in, it's getting
Oh, what's this? Is that a tear, Pantera? Oh, it's Daddy's little girl upset.
I'll figure out what's going on. It would be nice if I had
Tuesday, now get out of here and quit acting like a damn little girl.
Settle down, Beavis.
Good old Phil Anselmo before he got Oh wait, all right, hold on. This is another good one too. Korn's Blind, which is funny because I was not into Korn during this time. I got into them later once they got really big. But this is still one of the funniest moments in the series.
Dizzy, check it out. I learned this one time. Check this out. I think that the problem with this video is that it is highly derivative of many popular bands within the genre. Although when viewed on its own merits, it does have a decent
Beavis?
groove. However, what it has in groove, it lacks in originality.
What's
One
your
can't help
problem?
but be reminded of such bands as Pearl Jam, White Zombie, Suicidal Tendencies, and other bands that bear the mantle of so-called alternative
dork,
rock.
Beavis.
One is even reminded of Laurie Anderson when she wore curlers. This video speaks less to the heart and more to the sphincter. In closing, I think Korn would
Beavis.
do well to learn more from...
Fun little moment there. So Joey, Zoom is about to kick us off, so let's jump off real quick and jump right back on, okay?
All right.
All right, cool.